What's up? Can you hear me okay? Cool. What's up, Burns? How you doing, man? What's up, Levy? I love you too. Don't look at that. I'm not too bad. Sorry it's late, guys. I fell asleep. I was just laying on the couch and watching David Roth. David Roth put me right to sleep, fucker. So we got one. He really can. I know he doesn't try to, and I shouldn't like knock him for it, but he really can be. So I've been working on cable doubles. Those are fun. I'm gonna wait till we get. Oh, we got 4 people already. All right, we'll go ahead and get started in just a second. I gotta grab a pizza. I gotta see a man about a pizza. Don't worry, guys. I'm still here. Let me see if I can get some different lighting up in this bitch. All right, man. See you later. I understand. Words are bad. All right, guys. I've returned with the goods. It's good stuff. Don't worry, I'm not going to eat this on stream. That's like one of my biggest pet peeves is when people do that. So I'm not going to do that to you all. But we are going to go ahead and get started. If you all have your, turn your Bibles to Jonathan, Book of John, chapter 3, verse 16. And the verse starts, "This chapter may please experienced magicians more than it does learners. After 2 or 3 decades of conjuring, one begins to think, if I have one more card chosen, replaced, and shuffled, I shall scream out loud." What a great way to start a chapter. So this is chapter 4, Give 'em a rest. Tricks where no cards are chosen. He starts out by talking about one of the greatest and worst card tricks that you can do for somebody, and that's the 4-ace trick. He used a couple of different examples. I used to do a lot of 4-ace tricks. They're kind of like a bread and butter sort of thing for a card guy. Different ways to do assemblies, Hofzinger's problem, just stuff like that. Through the years, I've dropped quite a number of them because they're inherently boring. They're a watch me sort of thing. But you can do some card tricks that are very, some 4-ace tricks that can be very interactive. One of those is the spectator cuts the aces, which I like quite a bit. I'll teach the version that I first learned. You set the deck on the table, you have somebody cut, you have another person cut, another person cut. So you have 4 piles on the table. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 4-ace, 4 cards that are, not aces at all. It helps to be set up, right? Okay. Well, this is a prime example. You mess up and you've got to recover. How do you do that? How do you do that? Well, how I would probably do that is with this sort of thing. Yeah. Don't show that. That's bad. Don't show that. I just spoke up, guys. But let's try that again from the top. And that's 4 cards, the 4 aces. And that is a very simple spectator finds the aces. I don't actually know the credits for this. I'm sure Bulla does, though, or Burns or somebody. I just don't. But it's really easy. You need to do one move in this entire thing. And it's the Vernon transfer. If you can do that, which is a great lesson in misdirection if you haven't. But you take the aces, and you're going to want to bow them a little bit. That's just so you can pick them all up as one. You have the deck cut into 4 piles. And whichever pile you have the aces on, that's where you're going to pick up the first card. You pick it up as 4. But you pick it up as 1. So what it looks like at speed is that. Make sure you use a newer deck so the bow stays. So you just pick it right up like this. And I kind of push the card a little bit, and I do this number. But I do this for every card that I pick up, so it doesn't look bad. Get a break under the next card. Break. Break. Now, what it's going to look like is you spread and you pick these piles up. What you're actually going to do is you're going to take the top 3 cards above the break and set them on the first pile as you spread these cards. So this is a kind of it's the Vernon transfer, but it's a bastardization a little bit. I don't think you'd be very happy with how I do it, but it does work very well. So you have your break under the top 3 cards, which are not aces. And what you're going to do is you're going to just pick these up into a normal in grip. And the choreography is you set these down, pick up, spread. Yeah. So, and they won't see the 3 cards that go to the top because they aren't looking for it. You are just showing these 4 cards spread. And they've cut to the 4 aces. So that's a simple way to produce the aces. I am of the idea that if you're going to do one of these sorts of 4 ace things, I think it should also have a beginning, middle, and end. I think it should make sense. You have the spectator cut the aces. Now you get into your 4 ace thing. And the first 4 ace trick that he talks about was the Bertram aces. We talked about that last workshop. So we're going to talk about the next one, which is the Stanley Collins aces. A really nice ace routine where you lay out the 4 aces. You lay out some cards on top of each. Yeah. 3 cards is enough. Yeah. So don't do what I did. I didn't want to use a joker, but it's fine. Yeah. So the 4 aces are here. Can you tell me where they are? If you would have said under the piles, you would have been right. But this is directly from the book. I take out 1, 2, 3, and I drop the last one. 4, right? It's gone. I pick up the next pile. 1, 2, 3, 4. The next pile. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the last pile. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the aces have vanished. Now if I deal out some cards and they can pick any one of these, any 2 of them. You do an equivoke and they land on the 4 aces. All right, so that's the basic Stanley Collins aces. It's a good trick. It's a little boring. I think that it lacks a sense of progression, which I think is important for these 4 ace things, because you're doing something 4 times. And so to do the method that he states here is a little dull after like right here, after the first time. It's probably boring for the second one. I don't know. For me, it is. As well, the patter really isn't there. I mean, the aces vanishing from packets is not patter. That is not a presentation. That's about as boring as it gets. But I will show you some of the work that I have on the Stanley Collins aces. Take from it what you will, but this is from the book. The first thing that he talks about is how to do the lay down of the 3 cards. What you're going to do is you're going to do a double deal for one of the cards. So how he recommends you do it is you double deal, single, single. I don't like that. I think the first time you do something, it's going to be burned a lot more than the second or third time. So I actually like to do it in the middle. You do 1, double, single. And to do a double deal isn't really that hard if you can do a push-off. a push off second. It's just a continuation. And it doesn't have to be perfectly aligned. You're setting it on top of a previous card. As long as it's just, you don't go 1, 2, 3, because then they see the fourth. Don't do that. But yeah, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. You can kind of be slow and deliberate with this. The pattern that I use is that I'm going to hide the aces from the person. I'm going to hide them from them. They're not going to go away. They're just going to be hidden so you don't see them anymore. And here's I'll just do the sequence that I do normally, and then I'll break it down a little bit. So there's the ace, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's gone. Let's try it with this next one here. I'm going to, yeah. The next one. And it's gone. And the last one. And I'll stand up, or if I'm in a situation where I can't really do these kind of shows, then I'll just do another show at the top. But they don't have as much of a sense of progression. You can actually do the last one visually, which is what I do like to do. So the visual kind of idea is you've got your ace, yeah, and if you watch it, I'll hide it in plain sight, yeah. So we've got 4 aces lost, and we don't know where they've gone. Well, you do. This is what your game of hide and seek is. So if you could just cut the cards in half, cut them again, cut them again. Very, very simple. Yeah. You could have cut anywhere. If you did cut one deeper, one up, we'd be in a completely different situation. But that's 4. So it gives it you get kind of more of a logical reason. It's still not the most logical thing in the entire world, but it's more logical than dealing out poker hands and having them appear in the poker hands. That spectator cuts the aces is called reaping the aces, and yeah, it's very simple. You have 3 aces on bottom, 1 on the top. You have them cut into 4 piles. You pick up the pile with the aces on bottom. You spread so that you can get a break below 3. You push this card forward into the side. Pick up the next one, and the next one, and you pick up the ace on top last. Yeah. Now what you're going to do is you're going to square all these cards on top of the deck and just do a slip cut with the cards below the break. And you can show the 4 aces. Little tip about spectator cuts the aces. Put the aces on top of the packets when they're done. This goes back to that mental photography thing where if they're going to remember this, yeah, or they should. The idea is for them to remember this and not the 4 aces just in your hand. That way, if they think back on it, they think, I cut to the 4 aces and they were on top of the pile. Small tip. So you saw the vanishing sequence. I'll get into that a little bit. I don't want to spend too much time on it. We have a while to go, but I will talk about it a little bit. So you do your single, double, single, single, double, single, single, double, single. Yeah. I square everything up, turn it all face down, yada, yada, yada. The basic idea is we do an Ascanio at the fingertips. So we are going to do this with our left fingers, pull over 2, and with the left thumb, we pull out 1. Yeah? So there's the ace. Now this first count is a Vernon buckle count. 1, 2. You're going to buckle the bottom card so you can get a break. 3. And then the 4th card is loose. The idea behind this is if I had the double down here, this is what's going to be burned because this is the last card. You can do something like that, but why put yourself in that position when you can just have the double right here? They think the card, they think there's still an ace here. So when you snap it like that, it really gets to them. You're going to put the ace at the back and drop everything onto the table. We do this again. Slightly different this time. This time a little more open, a little more fair. We get a break under 2. We're going to do a slightly different display. You can get a break. You can do this in one of 2 ways. I'll explain the break under 2 way first, and then I'll explain a different way. So we have the same kind of action where we're going to spread the cards out, but this time we get a break. Because of that break under 2, we get the ace in the 3rd position instead of the 2nd, without any kind of displacements. We're just spreading the cards out. So we take the double, get our fingers on the card above, and pull out the single from the middle. We square everything up, and now we're basically going to do an Ascanio spread at chest height. Yeah, so we pull over 1, pull over 2, pull out the back card, and you've got your display. Yeah, we set everything down. Next one's gone. For this one, I like to do you can do it. For the other way, you just do another buckle count, which is fine, but it loses that sense of progression. I think The progression here is that each ace is hidden, and you handle the cards in a more open and free way. So it looks like they're vanishing. It looks like you're doing less and less. The next ace is, we do that same one from before, that first one. And now we do a regular Ascanio down here. But what we do is we're going to do a Stuart Gordon to show. Yeah? So what it looks like at speed is that. Set that packet on the table. And the last, what we're going to do for this is we get a break above the bottom card. And we're going to pull out the top and bottom cards and then do it like an Elmsley style pushover of a double on top and then a single. Yeah? So that gets us to the position here, which is that ace is second from the bottom with a double on top, right here. And then we can do the optical alignment move, which is very simply putting your second finger on the card right above the ace, pulling it over as you square the ace. Yeah? But in a fast action, it's like that. Another way that you could do it is you can throw everything on the table and it's gone. This is really just working with doubles. It's fun. It's a good practice. So you've got the situation. You've got ace, 4 cards, ace, 4 cards, ace, 4 cards, ace, just like in the normal routine. Now, normally you just deal out 5 poker hands, but I don't like that. So what I do is I leave this ace on top, count down 4, call the next, sight count 4, call the next, sight count 4, call the next. As I spread the cards, explaining that we know that they're not really gone, but they do know where they are. And now we're in that perfect position for that spectator cuts the aces. So yeah, that's a little bit of my thoughts on those Stanley Collin aces. Great routine. Before we go, I guess I'll explain the original. So what happened was you had the ace, and you just do this for 4 packets with 4 cards on top. You're going to pull out the bottom card, pull out the next bottom card. As you show it, you're going to get ready for a glide. You're going to do a glide. Now you're going to pull out the top 2 as 1 and show. Don't split it. Don't do that. The way you can avoid that is by just setting everything in a pile. The last one, you can just turn over, or you can do that uniformity of action. Just set it on top. So now you'll have a packet with an ace in the middle. That's the original handling for Stanley Collin's aces. And I like it. I don't think it's bad. I just think that it's I think it can be a little boring. So let's continue. Any questions so far? If not, we can just keep on rolling. Let's go to the next section. Ah, the next one that I'd like to talk about is the Nate Leipzig, whatever, slap aces. Slap aces is a really, really pretty routine. If you guys haven't seen it, um, I will go over it a little bit. I'm sure you guys have seen the old trick, the cavorting aces, where you take the black aces and you put them on top and bottom, and the red aces you stick in the middle. I am on page 92 in my edition. Um, so which ones are on top? Which ones are on bottom? The red ones are actually on top and bottom, and the black ones are in the middle. So that's the basic idea. The cavorting aces, that's not the slap aces, but you use it to get into the slap aces. So we'll take the red aces and put them on top and on bottom. Let's do it this way. Yeah. And the black aces we'll put just in the center. They do something slightly different in the book. I'll explain why I don't do that. That method. So we've got the two red aces on top and bottom, and in the center, we've got the black aces. Yeah. But if you watch closely, what I'm going to do is slap, and that will vanish the top and bottom aces. It will also vanish the black aces as well. Yeah. With that slap, you can do one of two things. You can make an ace go, or make it come back. That's the first ace, the ace of diamonds. That's the next ace, the ace of hearts. And this is just by the book. This is exactly what he would do. What Nate did was he took four aces and he said, you know what? Why don't you slap? And that's the Leipzig slap aces. Yeah. So let's talk about it. I think I think the most beautiful part about this routine is the placement of the aces and vanishing. What it describes in the book is to literally do a pass, pick this card up, put the aces onto this portion, replace everything, do another pass, and then side steal the bottom two cards, and then slap. Yeah, which will vanish everything, but I feel like that's far too noisy as far as sleight of hand goes. So I've tried, maybe successfully, maybe unsuccessfully, to change it up a little bit, make it a little more easy on the eyes. So you take the red and the black aces, top and bottom. Yeah. And you can do this one of two ways. Since I'm alone, I just do a tilt. It's fine. It works. And if you can't have anybody up on stage with you, you can just do a tilt. Yeah. Under the top card. What I do if somebody is around, though, is I'll go, do me a favor and just, I'll stop. Yeah. Put those aces on top. They do that. And then yeah, so it's a bluff pass. That's all you're gonna do. I get an Erdnase break, which we talked about last week. Have them call out stop. I do a lull. I bring my hands down and I go, can you put those aces on top? And I've just dropped everything below the ace. And they put the aces on top. Now I bring this hand back, and as I do, this is an Aaron Fisher idea. Yeah, so everything was copacetic. So I just had this card. Looks like is I bring my hand back, forward, and dribble. Very casual way to control those aces. Now we need to get a break above the bottom two cards. You can do a buckle, you can do, but I think it makes sense in this action to do it this way. You show the top and bottom card as the aces. You do a pressure fan, yeah? And make sure when you do the pressure fan that the bottom cards are pushed over slightly. That way, you could say, and the black aces are in the middle, you can push your pinky down onto the second from the bottom card. And in one action, you slide your pinky into that gap as you square. So now you've got a wedge break. Yeah? Which you can then transfer to this hand if you want. You transfer it, talk a little bit, pick up a thumb break, go to pinky break. All right? So there's no kind of action here. There's no action at the back. You literally spread the cards, close it up, and you're done. You have your break. Now we're going to do a deliberate side steal. So we push over those two cards to the side so that we can clip the deck, pick them up, and this is not our slap action. We square the deck to slap. So now we slap. It's a very open slap. And we show the top and bottom cards. And we just stick that top card in the middle. Now we have the four aces on top. To further show that, though, you can just get a break below the top, 4 or 5 cards. Doesn't really matter. Because we're just going to replace them as we put them back. So we palm them off. We do another pressure fan. We turn the pressure fan and then our hand. And yeah. So we can show. And our hands look empty. Now, here's the other thing. You don't want to flash the sides here. So you bring the left hand around. You don't want to flash on that side either. We're going to do a move called the Gathering to put these cards back on top. So basically what's going to happen, what it looks like is basically just like that. So how that happens is we square everything as we bring our thumb up to turn the deck over. Yeah. So instead of making it look like 2 actions where we replace the cards, then pick up, then turn over the deck, we've turned it into 1 action. Now, according to the book, we just do 4 side steal color changes. The first one, you just slap. The second one, you slap. And he says after the second one, he'll do a stage whisper to the spectator to ask him, tell him to grab his arm and lift his hand up. This doesn't do anything, mechanically or method-wise, but makes it interesting.
This is why it doesn't just look like four the same color changes. So when you do that next one, it just looks great. The last one, he also slaps. He doesn't slap. He places it on the deck, turns his hand over and say, "Here, you slap." And that's the last ace. It's the same move. It's just restructured. It's not a visual change. It's just a replacement of the top card. So that's slap aces. It's a great routine. I think it's very magical, but I don't know. What do you guys think? How do you all like this sort of thing? I know it's difficult. I mean, this is not an easy routine at all, but I think it's a good lesson in how to structure your sleight of hand. They used those passes back in the day, but I think that was more of not knowing than it was wanting to use the shift. It was just the shift was just the most efficient thing at the time. Now we have the bluff pass and tilt. And although tilt I think was around then, I don't think it was popular at all. And he is on stage, right? And doing magic for people on stage, doing card magic especially, tilt's a very closed move. Slap aces is a lot of fun. It is. Especially, and this is the card magician part of me coming out. But I love this show in the middle where you palm off the aces and you show the deck and your hands look empty. I think that's great. I think that's a great structure. I'll be right back, guys. What's up? Somebody left. That's cool. So we're still in the four aces. Let's continue. Cardini's H trick. Which has a really, really fun multiple shift that I think is worth looking at. On page 94. Cards up the sleeve. I won't demonstrate that for you guys today, but it does outline. I mean, cards up the sleeve is a great trick to learn palming, to learn misdirection. The Stars of Magic Vernon cards up the sleeve, I think, is a really good tool. The diminishing cards is another routine that is pretty funny. I'll admit it's a good thing. Usually it uses mechanical odds and ends though, but it's worth taking a look at. We talk about the 30 card trick and the 20 card trick, which are just older names for something you guys do know, which is the cards across. And this is just two of the bread and butter methods of the cards across. And it's good stuff. It's really good stuff. Especially the 20 card trick. That's Blackstone's version. Doesn't use any palming at all. Just uses choreography and routining to move over cards. And I think that's fantastic. Talks about more flourishes. Talks about the cards from the mouth, which is a Bill Malone thing. If you've seen Bill Malone do it, or if you haven't, I highly recommend it. He talks about the ambitious card because he thinks the ambitious card is card puke. Exactly, very much so. Talks about the ambitious card and what he says about it. I think this is fascinating because he says the ambitious card is not a pick a card trick, which I think is ridiculous. I think part of the power of the ambitious card is that it's any card that they choose. Yeah. The routine that he outlines is also, I don't think it is an ambitious card at all. I think it's an everywhere and nowhere plot. But that being said, I think that there are some good thoughts on the ambitious card presented here. But also, I think Vernon had some really good ideas on the ambitious card. When you think of the ambitious card, most magicians do it as a trick where the card is lost in the middle, it's not on top, it's on top. You know what I'm saying? That's what most magicians do. That sort of thing. And that's fine. But what Dai Vernon did the ambitious card for, it was more of a game. So he would put moves in like this. Just really bad moves. So I'm going to push the card in. Where is it? Most people would say the top. Yeah, everybody would say the top. But it's really on the bottom. Yeah, so why is that move in there? Why is that in there if it's such an obvious, transparent move? And it's meant to be. It's not meant to be this hidden thing. I mean, good luck trying to make that hidden on anything but 20 feet away. Up close, it'll never work. You do that because you're playing a game with them, right? They think that the card is going onto the top because of the move that you did. They think that, yeah? So you hit them with the bottom. So you just keep messing with them in different ways. These things where you stick it in the middle ostensibly, you stick it into the middle. They go, where is it? And it's meant to be played as it's kind of a card troll. It's card trick troll, for lack of a better way to put it. You're fucking with people. That's what you're doing. It's for those guys that think they know it all, think they're hot shit. You bust out the ambitious card. It's a tongue-in-cheek thing. It's not even meant to be a real. This is all Vernon. This is what he says. So the fact that people have tried to make it this serious endeavor, I mean, it's fine. I don't think it's that magical to take a card and to make it go to the top. I think there's magical ways that you can do it for sure. but I don't think it's an inherently magical idea. But that's a little bit on the ambitious card. I could talk at length about that though. I just want to get moving. 3-card trick, 3-card Monty. I think he tells you, yeah, he says the ever reliable old Erdnase gives nearly as much useful information in 8 pages. And I think that sums it up. Go to Erdnase. Also teaches the Mexican turnover, which is a fantastic move. Reading the cards is the last thing. Being able to tell any card in the deck without seeing its face. Mark cards, palming shiners, those sorts of things. That's the last thing that he talks about in this particular section. So that brings chapter 4 to an end. 4 ace tricks, cards up the sleeve, basically tricks where cards are used as objects. I think that there's one more trick that could be considered for this if we were doing a new edition. I think that this trick would be put on there. I'll just do it for you guys now, and we can talk about it or not. We're just going to use some cards. We don't need the rest right now. But what we're going to do is, what it's going to look like is, it's going to look like the card goes from up here, around my sleeve, down the other side, and onto the table. That's what it's going to look like, but that's not actually what happens. What happens is, have you all ever heard of palming? Yeah, it's where I can't really do it very well, but it's where you can take a card and I don't know. You can even do it's called a back palm. Yeah. And you can turn it over. I'm not very good at this sort of thing. I did work on a different technique though. It's called the invisible palm. Yeah. It's where you take the card, yeah, and you can squeeze it just into the fold of your hands. Yeah. And there it is. Let's do this one last time with the Joker. You have to be able to do this in the context of a poker game, right? When you're a dealer. This is how that would look. Instead of palming the card off the top like this, you wouldn't do that. You'd deal the cards. And you have a hand for yourself. Normally, cover up your hand, you take a look at it. But if you're good, you can get it into those crevices from the table. Yeah. And you can set it right down from the table. And that's the invisible palm. And that's Wayne Houchin's version. That's the version that I like the most. There's a lot out there. But I think that's one of the cleanest and one of the prettiest. We can talk about that, guys, or we can leave it. What do you all think? What do you want to do? I'm seeing leave it. So yeah, that's what I'll do. We got started a little bit later tonight, guys. I'm so sorry for that. But I am going to do an EU friendly stream probably Tuesday. 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll get into chapter 5 then. I know I said I was going to do it tonight, but I got started late, and I apologize, guys. Yeah, so take a look at chapter 4. Take a look at some of those routines within. Again, you saw. I try what we talked about last week. What Daryl Fitzke said is to take a routine. So like 4:30 a.m. for me. I think you're up that late, anyways. So, but yeah. The reason that I wanted to show you all this chapter, we could have just talked about more slides, and I think that might have been very helpful for you guys. But I wanted to show you how somebody who's been doing card magic for a long time thinks about the routines that they read. You can't look at it for its face value. You have to. They did make it for a reason. They are professionals, and I'm sure the routines are great in their hands. But in my hands, I can't get away with 2 passes at once, or 2 passes, back to back. I just can't. That's not my character. My character is a bluff pass or a tilt, though, something casual. So you have to really look at how you handle cards. There is a quote. It's a Miles Davis quote. Miles Davis said, "It takes a long time to sound like yourself." And that really, really is a beautiful thing, especially when it comes to magic. It takes a really long time for your magic to become you. You will replicate and you will imitate a lot of people. But if you really work on it, if you really push yourself, making that magic sound like you will happen. And I think that in small ways, changing slides to fit you, changing presentations to fit you, I think those sorts of things are what piece together that puzzle of originality and of self. So yeah, I know that's a heavy philosophical conversation for a couple of fucking card tricks, but I think it does have merit. I think that you are going to be infinitely more interesting as you than you would be trying to be David Blaine or I don't know. I guess there are other magicians. I don't know anybody else. I just watch TV. Or Bulla. Yeah, you could try to be like Bulla, but it's not going to work for you because Bulla is Bulla. Burns. You could probably be like Burns. I think Burns sets a good example, but don't be like Bulla. That's all I'm trying to say, guys. Do we have any questions for tonight? Is there anything that I can answer? Let me see if I can save face for you guys tonight. I know I did this on the Hangouts, and it did not work out, but I need a card selected. And if it's a Joker, I'm going to be so angry. Okay, it's not. Ace of Clubs. I put the ace inside the deck, and it's going to be a guest of honor, somewhere else. Somewhere like this box. Yeah. One card. The ace of clubs. Yeah, I know I flashed a little bit, but that's house guest. That's that's an Ernest Eric trick. I messed it up the other night, so I wanted to try to redo it for you guys. I hope it looked a little bit better. Yeah. All right, buddy. Yeah, we're ending anyways, Burns. Take it easy, buddy. I'm out of here too, guys. Good night.